pool this morning. What? We checked this pool this morning. This young lady was not in this pool. This girl was not in this pool. This girl was not in this pool. She was not in here. We checked in this pool. The girl was not in there this morning when we come here. We went in this place. This girl was not in here. The girl was not in there, boy.
The death of 11-year-old Adrianna Younge isn't the first suspicious fatality linked to the Doubleday Hotel. In 2012, a man named Sadiq Juman died under similar circumstances also in the hotel's pool, with signs of blunt force trauma, raising long-standing concerns about the hotel's safety. A pattern of alleged impunity. Hotel owner Boinarini Bola was charged but later acquitted in the 2012 case. Now, over a decade later, he once again implicated, this time in Adrianna's death. The recurrence of violent incidents tied to the same individual and venue fuels suspicions of deeper systemic failures or cover-up. International scrutiny invited. Due to a lack of trust in local authorities, Adrianna's family rejected a government autopsy and brought in Dr. Gary L. Collins from Delaware for a second opinion. They've also called for investigative oversight from agencies like the FBI and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, an unusual step in cases of this nature in Guyana. Explosive public reaction protests over the incident have grown so heated that reports suggest the community may have set fire to the hotel and the owner home, illustrating just how widespread and intense public outrage has become. Alleged political ties spark speculation. Rumors that hotel owner Bola is a cousin of President Irfan Ali have triggered further distrust, with critics questioning whether political connections have hindered justice. Adrianna Younge update here. Ought to know about the owners of Doubleday Hotel. The death of 11-year-old Adrianna Younge at the Doubleday Hotel has ignited a firestorm of outrage across Guyana, exposing deep concerns over safety, accountability, and a troubling history of unresolved tragedies. What began as a local tragedy has swiftly become a national crisis, with demands for answers growing louder by the hour. In the midst of all the events, many ask the question, what do we know about the owners of Doubleday Hotel? Younge Bola, proprietor of the Doubleday Hotel in Tushin, along with his wife Maya Sukrai, find themselves at the center of an investigation concerning the alleged murder of Adrianna Younge. On Wednesday, the 23rd of April 2025, Adrianna visited the Doubleday Hotel with her grandmother and relatives. After purchasing access to the pool, she was last seen near the water shortly after 1:10 p.m. Her family's search began 2 hours later when she was nowhere to be found, prompting a frantic call to Tushin Police Station 3:30 p.m. The following morning, her body was found floating in the hotel's swimming pool, with visible bruises and swelling on her face and limbs, clues that suggested she might have been assaulted before her death. Initial police reports suggested Adrianna's disappearance was linked to her entering a red and black Toyota Rome, heading towards Friedhof. However, these claims were later retracted, with authorities admitting they had been mistaken. The conflicting statements have only deepened distrust among the community, who now question the integrity of the investigation. Signs of foul play and suspicions. The condition of Adrianna's body raised immediate concerns. The bruises and swelling indicated she may have been hurt prior to her death, contradicting the assumption that she drowned accidentally, given that she was missing for over 20 hours before her body was discovered. Some believe she was killed elsewhere and later placed in the pool. The fact that Adrianna's loved ones and neighbors had searched extensively without finding her makes this scenario plausible. The hotel history of violence. Adding to the suspicion is the troubled history of the hotel, which has seen a previous death in its pool. In 2012, a young man named Sadiq Juman was found dead under suspicious circumstances there, with autopsy reports hinting at blunt trauma and possible attack. The recurrence of such incidents has only sharpened fears about the hotel's safety and the motives behind Adrianna's death. Hotel owner Bola's criminal history is well documented. He was previously charged with the murder of Sadiq Juman at the very same hotel in similar circumstances in 2012. However, he was ultimately acquitted in 2017 when the case was dismissed due to insufficient evidence. Juman, a mechanic, was found dead in the hotel's swimming pool, bearing visible injuries and missing personal belongings. Adding fuel to the controversy, multiple sources allege that Bola and his family have long been associated with criminal activities, including serious fraud cases in the United States and Canada. The family's fight for justice. Adrianna's parents, Amisha Simon and Subrian Younge, have refused to accept the initial autopsy conducted by the government-appointed Barbadian pathologist, Dr. Shabakar Karapal. They demanded an independent investigation, hiring Dr. Gary L. Collins from Delaware, a pathologist with experience in similar cases, to conduct the autopsy. The family's mistrust in local authorities, compounded by claims of bribery and abuse, has led them to seek international involvement. They also want agencies like the FBI or the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to oversee the inquiry. Meanwhile, the family's stance has intensified public anger. They suspect hotel owners of abusing Adrianna and bribing police officers to cover up their involvement. Reports now confirm that the hotel owners have fled Guyana amid mounting protests and accusations. Local residents, infuriated by what they see as a failure, justice, and negligence, staged a 12-hour protest at the Leonora police station, during which some reports suggest they set fire to the hotel and the owner's residence, though these acts remain unconfirmed officially. Community outrage and political fallout. The community's frustration has spilled into the streets with widespread protest calling for accountability. The Guyanese Rights of the Child Commission issued a stark statement. Justice for Adrianna is not negotiable. It is a moral imperative. The organization demanded a transparent investigation and highlighted the government's obligation under the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child to protect its citizens. In response, President Irfan Ali has promised full support for an independent inquiry. He has ordered the formation of a special investigative team, replaced the police commander in the region, and visited Adrianna's family personally to offer condolences. Yet, the political landscape remains tense as critics accuse authorities of delaying justice and glossing over the hotel's shady past. Public suspicion surrounding the case. It must be noted, however, that not everyone is happy with President Ali's involvement with the case. Some online speculation has claimed that the hotel owner, Boinarini Bola, may be a cousin of Guyana's president, Dr. Irfan Ali. This purported connection has further escalated tensions, with critics suggesting that it may have contributed to repeated cover-ups and a notable lack of accountability in the ongoing case. The owner's flight and the quest for truth. Adding a new twist to the case is the reported flight of the hotel's owners from Guyana. It is believed they have left the country in the wake of the public outrage and the destruction of their property. The hotel past, including the death of Sadie Juman in similar circumstances, cast a long shadow over proceedings. Many now suspect that Adrianna's death was not an isolated incident, but part of a pattern of negligence and cover-up. What lies ahead? The investigation continues, but the shadows cast by past tragedies and recent flight of the hotel owners suggest that justice may be delayed or worse, obstructed. Adrianna's parents remain steady in their demand for an impartial, international investigation, refusing to accept local authorities' explanations. As the country watches closely, the case highlights the urgent need for transparency and accountability, not just for Adrianna, but for all who fear that safety and justice are slipping away in Guyana. The police force remains mum about whether Boinarini Bola, owner of the Doubleday Hotel, is currently in custody over the death of Adrianna Younge. In a statement issued on April 26th, the police confirmed that investigators had questioned Bola, along with all employees present at the hotel, on the day of the incident. They also reveal that several officers from Regional Division 3 were interviewed, and 3 ranks are now under close arrest, though no explanation has been given for their detention. Bola was questioned at the Leonora police station, as he had been present at the hotel when Adrianna was reported missing. Members of the public were disbelieving about whether he was being held. However, on Friday, April 25th, Adrianna's parents, Amisha Simon and Subrian Younge, were granted access to the station and confirmed to supporters outside that Bola was indeed in custody. Adrianna was found dead in the pool of the Doubleday Hotel. on the morning of Thursday, April 24th, 2025, at approximately 10:44 a.m. On Wednesday, April 23rd, she had visited the hotel with her grandmother, aunt, and two younger siblings, a 6-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl, for a swim. After the body was found, the hotel was set on fire and severely damaged. Shortly after, Bola's residence 3 streets away was also set on fire. Nearly a year after, Home Affairs Minister Bobson Ben mandated that all water-based recreational facilities be equipped with lifeguards, proper signage, and designated safety zones by the week of September 9, 2024. Stabroek News has learned that no lifeguard was on duty at the Doubleday Hotel on the day Adrianna disappeared. The hotel displays a sign that reads, "Swim at your own risk. We are not responsible for accidents or injuries." It is unclear whether the Guyana Tourism Authority, the agency responsible for inspecting hotels, had signed off on this hotel as is the last publicly documented inspection of restaurants, bars, and hotels in Region 3, according to GTAS Facebook page, was in 2022. Boinarini Bola, 29, the manager of the hotel, and Leyland Johnson, 26, a driver employed with Bola, appeared before Leonora Magistrate Russell Liverpool and were read a charge which stated that between November 18th and November 19th, 2012, neither defendant was required to enter a plea to the charge. Attorney Ganesh Hira appeared on behalf of both defendants and requested the disclosure of statements in relation to the matter. Both defendants were remanded to prison until December 16th, which is slated for the next hearing. Juman's body was pulled from the hotel pool on November 19, 2012. At the time of the discovery, there were visible marks of violence about his body, and his head was swollen. A subsequent post-mortem examination found that he died from asphyxiation and that blunt trauma to head also contributed significantly to his death. Juman had gone to the hotel on the day before and had an argument with another man who he had seen with a female friend of his. Police sources say that suspects have confessed that Juman was afterward beaten until he fell unconscious. The men then removed his body to a room at the hotel. However, after realizing that he had died, they then reportedly dragged his body into the pool to make it appear as though he drowned. His relatives were convinced that he was murdered since his personal belongings, including his clothing, which he had removed before taking a dip, his smartphone and his wallet were missing. Juman's relatives had previously told this newspaper that they believed he was lured to the hotel. He had gone to visit his grandmother at Ruby, also on the east bank of Essequibo, when he received a call to go to the hotel. 2 of Juman's friends, a man and a woman, both in their early 20s, were initially arrested along with another man, but they were all released after questioning.